Looking to showcase your product or service? There's no better place than the AFCA Convention, which will take place January 8th through the 10th in 2023 in Charlotte, North Carolina. The AFCA Convention is an opportunity to exhibit in front of over 7,000 coaches and staff members. Head on over to convention.afca.com for more information. See you in Charlotte.
This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring Julian Griffin, the running backs coach at UTSA. Coach Griffin discusses his role as NFL Liaison, his recruiting approach, and the importance of having mentors in the profession. Now, let's get inside the headset with Coach Griffin.
Coach Julian Griffin, how are you, man?
I'm good, Coach. How are you?
I'm good, man. Well, I'm not able to see much of you, but you look like you can still force outside release on the stick route and maybe go catch a go ball.
I probably can catch a hitch right now, but for sure, I can still get active, man. Don't worry, I can still get active.
You got to show them from time to time, huh?
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, that's good, man. For anybody that doesn't know, Julian has been on the podcast before, but he actually had the great opportunity to coach Julian when he was a receiver at ULM. Enjoyable experience. Got there his senior year. Really caught him, on the trial to try to get into the NFL, and then as that didn't work out, the beginning journey of his coaching career. Also had the opportunity to work with him from a professional standpoint. He came in at G8 for us in 2015. I can't remember, who did you work with? Did you work with the wideouts? I was at running backs.
Yeah, so I was with Jason Nichols. Yeah, Coach Nichols.
Okay, yeah, man. Well, definitely enjoyed that experience with you, man. But, speaking of the NFL, you will also, along with your job title as the running backs coach at UTSA, you're the NFL Liaison. And, you had the personal experience of, going through, the pro days and, working out and all that kind of stuff. Now I've been this NFL Liaison. What are some of the things that those NFL scouts, they come in there, they're coming and watching film, they're asking questions. What are some of those things that go beyond the field that they're searching for when they're got a potential draft pick, as you guys did it? I guess you had 2 draft picks and a potential running back draft pick this year.
Correct. Yeah. Well, outside of the football field, things that they really ask about is just a common question like, what is the kid's character?
Yeah.
How do they act away from the building? Is he a person that you have to worry about? What is their family life like? Do they have kids? If so, how is their relationship with the mother of their child? It's just, simple questions like that. I say simple, but obviously as you go into it, it's deeper than, than just a surface question. So, but, they really want to know about you as a person and really want to know, like, can you manage money? Can you manage time? Can you manage, fame? So just being able to say you did it, or that they can do it or they can't. So Those are the questions that they really ask about.
Yeah, it's interesting, the comparison of, recruiting, where you walk into a high school and you're, depending on the school that you're at, you're making $150,000 to $300,000 investment just in terms of a scholarship amount into a student athlete. So you want to lift up all the look under all the rugs and check for cracks and just ask all the questions all around. And maybe sometimes I think it's probably slept on that it's not just 100% strictly on talent at the NFL level, because the investment's much larger, and the microscope is just that much more powerful in the NFL, where athletes can definitely hurt a organization like that. So that's interesting. Some of that other stuff. Now, as far as the plan goes, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Those guys come in, they want to see the numbers. What's your experience there with how they came and conducted pro days over your career there?
Yeah, well, it goes back and forth with different teams, because everybody has their own grading scale. Everybody has their own viewpoint of a player. And so, first things first, when they come in on campus, they want to sit down and talk with me directly about the player, and just want to know everything they can just from my viewpoint of it. Then they want to talk to our trainers. Then they want to talk to our strength and conditioning. Then I always get them with our head coach, because, the head coach, he's going to know a little bit more about them than other people will, right? And so once that is done, once they watch the video, they make their own opinion. And I try to stay as far away from when they watch video as possible, because I don't want to go in there with a biased view just simply because I see the way they practice. I see the way they go every day. I understand the moment of the game whenever they made that one play. And so as they get to pro day, you know, it's really about the numbers at this point. How fast are you? How high can you jump? How far can you jump? So that right there that's just status quo, you know, across the nation. Because once pro day hits, you are who you are.
Yeah.
You can't make up a 40 time on pro day. You can't make up a vertical. What you do is who you are, you know, and that's what gives those guys the opportunity to get to the combine, to get invited to camps, to get drafted. So, like I said, every organization is different, but the biggest thing is just really, from my seat, is giving every organization real information, just telling the truth about the kids, about the family, about their situation, about their value, and just letting those guys formulate their own opinion.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I mean, this all sounds very comparable to just being a recruiting coordinator for a high school program. You know, when a college coach comes in and they go to asking those questions, and I mean, notoriously high school coaches are tremendous at just being so knowledgeable. But it's such a different environment. You know, they know, they've watched some guys grow up sometimes since they were in elementary school. You know, if it's all kind of under the same umbrella, they've been able to be around those guys for an extended period of time. Now, with you being the running backs coach, and you know, me being familiar with how it works at the collegiate level, like there's some guys on the team you don't have that much interaction with on the other side of the ball, like maybe a defensive lineman, the second string defensive lineman. You might not really ever get the chance to just talk to him one-on-one. So how do you stay up to date with just, you know, what's going on with all those guys? You know, so when those NFL scouts come in and do ask questions, you're knowledgeable and you've had dialogue with those guys before.
No doubt, man. That's a great question, and I'll just be honest with you, man. Like, you really know me, so when I say this, you know I'm telling the truth. I really make it important to build a relationship with whoever it is. Because there's, for one, I really want to know who you are. For two, it's my job title to know everything I can about you to help you get the best opportunity for the next level.
Absolutely.
But honestly, man, the third thing is, man, our head coach, Coach Traylor, he wants us cross-coaching. So like you're saying, I may not know that second defensive line player. Well, that's my fault. Because because at the end of the day, if I'm in this building every single day, I need to know who's in this building with me. Mm-hmm. And that's a testament to Coach Traylor, just because he wants us to know everybody and wants everybody to know us, because he doesn't want anybody to feel like, hey, I'm not good enough to be talked to. Like, you know, he doesn't he's a high school coach. He's been a high school coach for I don't know how many years, but you know, at that level, you have to know everybody. You have to know everybody in the community. You have to be able to help people. And so with that being said, I make it, you know, my job to make sure that I know everything about this kid, everything about his family, everything about his mom, his dad, his uncle. Because when those scouts come in, they're going to know. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody said they got all these secret investigators and all that kind of stuff at their level. I think they really do, because they come in, they tell me stuff that I have no clue about. It's like, whoa, where'd you get that information? Yeah. So I make it a point to make sure that I get to know the players, get to know their families, because it's just like recruiting, you know. And once again, you know, about our head coach, you can go out and recruit whoever you want to, but your number one recruit is the one that's in our locker room right now. Yeah. So you better recruit the kids in your locker room and know about them before somebody else comes in and take them, you know. So. Yeah. I mean, with the landscape of college football right now, with the one-time transfer and NIL just being included with that, you're right. I mean, you better make sure that you're currently, you know, always recruiting your own kids, because it's the temptation to see if the grass is truly green on the other side is always there. Now, no doubt.
We talked about the parallels of recruiting in the NFL scouting. Let's talk specifically about recruiting and specifically about what you do. You've been a long-time running backs coach. You know, you've done a tremendous job. I know you've bounced some drill tape off me over the years, and I've just watched you develop into just a really, really solid dude. Your running back this year, I believe, was an All-American, and, you know, just a tremendous, outstanding player. When you go to recruiting that position, because that position, in my opinion, is so unique, because it really is one of those you can be a really good running back coach if you're a really good recruiter, and that's probably true. Yeah. That's probably true at all positions, but you know, it's a big, hey, you got it. You know, that guy's got it. Right. He can do it, and when you get those guys, man, like I said, it makes you a really good ball coach. Now, when you're cutting on film and you're watching, you know, running backs do their thing in high school, what are some of the things that you're looking for?
Man, the first thing I look for is, do you score touchdowns? And because if you're not scoring touchdowns, you're not doing something right. So do you score touchdowns? But to really get into just the makeup of a running back that I look for, I look at the size of the player, and a lot of people don't really worry about size. And I try not to as well. But at some point, you got to make sure that that player can fit in your system and can fit against the competition that you're playing against.
Yeah.
Because we really run the football here.
Yeah.
So with us running the football the way that we run the football, I need to make sure I have a young man that can come in that can handle the pounding, because it's really going to happen. And so I look at the size, I look at your speed, and then from there, like, do you make people miss? How elusive are you? Can you get 0 to 60, or can you get 0 to 90? If you get 0 to 90, you're elite, you're different. Yeah. And so I'm really looking for that kid. Once I'm watching the video, like, he just pops off the screen right now, Yeah. And then also, do you shy away from contact, or do you look for contact? Are you a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield? Can you line up at the slot receiver and play receiver? Because at this level, you may not make it as a running back. You just might not. It just might not be for you. You might be a great high school running back, but for whatever reason, that switch doesn't flip on for you here. Can you move over and still be a valuable scholarship athlete and go help our receivers and play slot receiver? Or can you be a punt returner? Can you be a kick returner? So really, man, when I watch video, when I evaluate kids, I want to see, are you more than just a running back that can run inside zone? Yeah. Can you run outside zone? Or can you understand gap scheme? Can you understand protections? Which is probably the hardest thing evaluating a high school kid, simply because you don't see a lot of high schools put running backs in a situation to protect when it comes to really, so you got to point out, your read, or, where's the Mike, where's the Sam, like, just really understanding all of that. So, yes, they will get in, they'll fit up, but do they really know what they're doing, or they're just trying to find a free man? Right. So just finding a kid that really understands the game, that's really been coached up to understand it, that's really what I look for. But like you said, man, once you find that guy that just has it, man, you better just get on them, because the next guy's gonna get on them too. So it's just a big evaluation.
Yeah, well, I know you're a Texas guy, so I know his name will ring a bell. But Gary Patterson, longtime head coach at TCU, he was notorious for signing a ton of running backs, and not necessarily with the game plan of allowing for them to be the running back at TCU. A lot of those guys would end up playing the end. A lot of them would play linebacker. A lot of them would play safety. A lot of them would play slot receiver. A few of them would go play corner. And, we had the opportunity to get him on a podcast before, and we talked a little bit about that. And, it was just interesting, the variety of type of athlete that you do get at that position. You get some guys that can play anywhere from D in the corner if they don't make it on, at the running back position. So it is a very dynamic, unique position. I'm probably super biased, played running back in college, coached running back a few years and when I was a coach, and so I'm always a little bit biased about that position. But it is a truly, truly unique position in terms of just the different body types that you find there. Now, let's transition a little bit to talking about networking. Excuse me. We talked a little bit about it last time you were on the podcast. I just want to talk a little bit more about the impact of some people that you've had in your career. Obviously Coach Traylor has been monumental in your career. I know he was a rival team's head coach when you were a high school player. And, somehow maintained that relationship, and he's been somebody that you can lean on over the years. Not toot my own horn. I know you call me, especially early in your career, with questions and guidance along the way. But who is that one? Who's that one coach? When something hits the fan and you need somebody to talk to, whether schematically or career trajectory wise, who are some of those guys that you call, or the one guy that you call?
Got you, man. It's crazy you asked me, because I actually had somebody ask me this just a different way, and I have different guys for different situations. Right. Yeah. So I think, like, when it comes to, like, running back play and really understanding, like, the recruiting and making sure that my eyes are right when I'm watching video, or how I go into a meeting and teach my guys a certain drill or a certain run scheme, man. My number one guy that I'm probably going to call is probably going to be AJ Stewart. He's a running back coach at Oregon State. AJ, he's coached here in the state of Texas. I mean, great young dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I just built a relationship with him, honestly, when I first got into coaching.
Yeah.
And him and I have just always been pretty cool. He's always been a solid guy with me. And so he's a guy that when it comes to football and the position and knowing that I can get real information, I can talk to him about kids that I'm recruiting, kids that I really like on my board, that are top on my board. And I'm not worried about him going and saying, oh, I'm going to go get this kid because Griff likes him. That's a guy that, I trust wholeheartely. And I know that he's always going to be upfront with me. So he's a guy that I talk to for that. And I think, outside of Coach Traylor, I mean, when I'm dealing with something like with business or life or just understanding how to just really be a man that I need to be and get it done, man, Jeff Traylor is honestly who I'm calling. I call my dad, but if I need to go sit down, I'm in Jeff Traylor's office. So I know that's my boss. I'm not trying to make it seem like, that's, because my boss gives them plug, but it's the truth. I've known this man for so long. And so it's going to be Jeff Traylor. If it's not Jeff Traylor, it's David Callaway, the head coach at Central Methodist University in Missouri. But out of those two guys, I mean, that's who I'm calling. So.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about your relationship with him. I know you spent a little time there at CMU. Just talk to us a little bit about how he's been so impactful in your career and just another guy you can talk to, Coach Callaway there.
I think the thing with David, it was just, he gave me my first opportunity. And it's crazy because, you get that first opportunity from wherever it is, you feel like you're always indebted to him, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I'll be honest, I do feel that way. But he gave me a chance when everybody else told me no. And ever since that day, I mean, he's always tried to lead me down the path of just knowing, hey, this is how you need to address certain situations. This is who you need to be when you walk into these rooms for these meetings, for these podcast interviews, for whatever type of interview. Like, this is how you need to handle yourself. He's just always giving me that advice, that true advice that I know I could probably get from you, I can get from whoever, but the fact that he gave me my first opportunity and he's still right there next to me trying to help me because he knows my aspirations. He knows I want to be a coordinator. He knows I want to be a head coach. And he's done all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the fact that he gave me an opportunity and he's still helping me achieve goals that I have set out for myself, I mean, that's just big time for me, and it just, on the flip side, it's the same thing with Coach Traylor here. He gave me my first full-time FBS opportunity here. And so, but he gave me an opportunity to come to SMU, gave me an opportunity to get to the SEC at Arkansas, gave me an opportunity to come here with him again. So he gave me 3 different opportunities to where now our relationship obviously goes back all the way to Little League football. So our relationship is more so like father-son almost because I've known him for so long. Right. You know what I mean? And I can talk to Coach Traylor about a lot. I can take the whistle off and really expose myself like, man, coach, let me tell you what happened. And he'll understand that. And I think that's why I'm so close to both of those men because they really know me and they always have my best interest at hand to where there's no discrepancy of if I say the wrong thing to Coach Traylor, I'm on the hot seat. If I say the wrong thing to Coach Callaway, he's not going to try to support me anymore. You know what I mean? So those two men, that's why I'm so close to them. And you know me, like I don't try to make enemies. Like I want to be everybody's friend. I love talking to people. So, but those two, they've helped me understand. Like you may not have enemies, but everybody's still not your friend either. Right. So so I keep those conversations directly with those two. So.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome when you have those people in your corner, and it's even better when that person's in your building because that's not always the case. And at some point in time, you'll figure that out as time passes or all that kind of stuff. But you're not always going to be fortunate to have that guy in the same building. So that's great that works out for you. Now, you guys are coming off arguably the best season in history. This 2021 season there at UTSA. It was hard not to notice what you guys were doing, and that's a hard place to be in. And me and you can probably rewind back to our time at ULM where we had that breakout season, and it was crazy just the amount of attention that came with it, the amount of all the cool stuff that came with it, but the part that was not very fun was when you showed up to your next, that next season, we had to play OU first. It was like, man, we're not about to walk out here and surprise them. Like, we're not going to roll the helmet out and they get scared. They're going to show up and they're going to play ball. So how do you build off that? Because it's hard. The hardest thing to do, especially at the mid-major programs, is do it again. That's the hardest thing to do. So what has been your message to your guys, especially your running back playing so well, to motivate them to walk in the next season, knowing that they're going to have some targets on their back?
Right. Well, I think before I even get to answer the question about what I say to the running back, it's really what was addressed to our staff.
Yeah.
Is our culture. Yeah. And I know you have a million interviews. Everybody talks about culture, right? Mm-hmm. But, I really believe, and I think I know everybody in our building believes this as well. It's like our culture is really real here.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just words on the wall. Like, we literally live by that. And our players buy into it. And they know without that culture that we have and the love that we have for each other, I mean, what we did last year, yes, that was amazing. It was great. 12-2 conference champions. It doesn't matter now.
No.
The only thing that truly matters is the culture. Are you literally living by the culture pillars of UTSA football? Integrity, passion, mental, physical toughness, selfless, perfect effort. Literally, that's it. If you're not doing that, you're not going to be ready for the first game of the season. But if you are doing that, everything will take care of itself. So when I get to the running backs, it's simple with me. Can you do it again? That's it.
Yeah.
Because 2 years in a row, we've been top 5 in rushing in the nation.
Yep.
I mean, there's no gray area with that, fellas. The numbers do not lie. And so with that being said, just to get even just a little bit deeper, we had the only rusher in the nation 2 years in a row finish in the top 7 2 years in a row. So it's like, guys, this is what we do. We run the football. So with that being said, can we do it again? Yes, Sincere McCormick, great player. Guess what, guys? He's gone. He's not coming back. So now it's time for somebody else to step up and just understand it's your turn. Okay. So once you understand that and see, hey, I can do it too, there's nothing else to do. Just go to work every single day and go as hard as you can. Practice like it's the game. Prepare like it's the game. Take care of your body like it's the game. Like treatment, cold tub, all of that. Like nothing changes.
Yeah.
It's just a different season now. But live by the culture and just work like every day is your day one.
I love it, man. Well, I know you'll have whoever the next guy up is ready to rock and roll, man. And
for sure.
I'm excited to keep up with that. Now, the last thing before I let you go here, man, this is kind of an interesting question. And I know you are such a relationship guy, and you do a tremendous job of maintaining a relationship with the coaches, your players, your head coach. It's evident that that's something that's important to you. With the ever-changing landscape of not just college football, but really just technology, kids, distractions, social media, NIL opportunities, with searching, wanting to know if the grass is green or not on the other side, one-time transfers. You're at a mid-major program with probably in a 200-mile radius, 15 other Division I schools around. How do you coach? I hate when people say today's athlete, but how do you coach the athlete that does have so many distractions going on around them? Like, what's your approach?
And my approach is to hit it head on and let's just talk about it. I mean, there's no other way around it, because if you keep trying to go around and around and around, you're going to miss it at some point, right? So if there's a question about NIL money, hey, why is this kid making NIL money in the same room that I'm in, but I'm not getting anything? Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, what opportunity, who have you reached out to try to set yourself up for NIL opportunity, right? Yes, he's probably getting it because he's a starter. Everybody knows him, this, that, and the third. But guess what? There's a lot of money out there for everybody. So have you placed yourself in position to be able to meet people, talk to people, to be able to get those opportunities? So that's really how I address NIL, because at the end of the day, I know as coaches, we stay away from it. We stay out of it.
Yeah.
But still just educate those guys to know, like, hey, there's people out there that's willing to help you because, one, you're a college athlete. 2, you're on a winning program. 3, people love giving away money and because they can get a write-off. So understand that, so just figure it out and just, help those guys understand, get with compliance so they can get in there and just figure out how can they get, opportunities to talk to people.
Yeah.
And so social media, I know the second thing you asked about, that's a scary thing, honestly, because it's so much that goes on social media, because you got one person saying this, one person saying that, and you're being pulled either direction, or you got somebody posting this that you may not agree with. And so you feel like you always want to say something back. Mm-hmm. So our biggest thing here, man, is just teaching these kids, like, everything doesn't need a response.
Absolutely.
And when I was in college, and I remember you guys telling us the same thing, like, stay off of Twitter, during fall camp, don't get on Twitter, don't do this, don't do that. But guess what? We still did it, So now being on the other side of it, trying to explain, like, hey, this is why we don't want you guys saying this or doing that, it just helps them. But the thing is, man, you got to hit it head on, because if you try to sugarcoat it or talk around it, or you're just, hey, I'll talk to them next week about it, next week it's going to be way too late, because you never know what's going to happen, because, just look around right now. Something, as we're on this podcast, something just happened in America that we're not even aware of right now. Mm-hmm. So just teaching these guys just to be responsible for their own actions.
Well, Coach, man, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, man. I'm, if I hadn't told you before, which I know I have, I'm extremely proud of you, man. And I know the best is yet to come, not just for UTSA and the backs there, but yourself. I always thought super highly of how you conducted yourself, and so it's an honor to be on the podcast with you and just watching you excel and shine in your role, man.
Yes, sir, man. I definitely appreciate everything you guys have done, you and Coach Barry. And man, anytime I can get on here, anytime I can speak, man, I'm doing it. So thank
yes,
you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. But hey, before I let you go, man, I am gonna bother everybody if you follow Griff, my apologies, because he will get to talking about some nonsense every now and again, like the Houston Rockets been title contenders or something like that. But no, but no, if you want to share your social media account so coaches can follow your journey, man, keep up with you and your program, that'd be awesome.
Definitely. Well, my Twitter is @Coach_Griffin_, or you can just type in Julian B. Griffin, it'll pop up. And follow me, DM me. I'll make sure I get back to you as soon as I can.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck moving forward. Look forward to seeing you in Charlotte in 23, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro.
All right. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset. If you heard anything on this episode that you would like to learn more information about, head over to afcapodcast.com, where you can find every episode and all of the corresponding show notes. While you're there, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please let us know by sending an email to podcast@afca.com. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter @InsideTheHeadset and tag it when you share each episode. You can stay up to date with all things AFCA by following the @WeAreAFCA Twitter account. Every episode of Inside the Headset can also be found on your favorite audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you are not currently a member of the AFCA, be sure to find us online at afca.com and apply to join over 10,000 NFL, college, and high school coaches from around the country who are striving to be the best they can be. With an AFCA membership, you gain invaluable access to the annual AFCA convention, the bi-monthly magazine, and the new and improved digital library, which contains thousands of videos and articles contributed by hundreds of current and former football coaches. You can also visit afcainsider.com to sign up for our free weekly email newsletter on the right-hand side of the screen. It comes out every Tuesday at lunch and is filled with great articles and stories written by many of the same coaches you hear on the podcast. It's geared to help you become a better coach tomorrow than you are today. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter @CoachMarioPrice, and remember, the AFCA is not just an annual convention. It is an association that continually promotes education, guidance, and networking. But it is also so much more than that. The AFCA is about celebrating the past and educating the future. It is about developing great coaches who will produce great teams and even better people. So invest in your skill set and impact today by engaging with the AFCA.